Prix at Yas Marina. The floodlights are primed and ready to light up this spectacular venue as the daylight will inevitably fade.
Qualifying wheels on the yellow markings that you pointed out on the grid walk, and the guys in the mid-grid are trying to leave an extra bit of rubber down there for the start. Let's keep an eye on that.
So that they're already on the rubber then when their wheels start spinning. And I'm told there's good grip on the grid. They were allowed to do practice starts after every free practice, so 3 sessions of that. They should all have a pretty good handle. 6th, 7th and 8th, they're covered by effectively 1/5 place, those teams. Force India Sauber and Toro Rosso. We'll keep a good eye on that, because it's not just about the front runners. We want to see through the midfield and, as they light up the rear tyres. Looks even between Vettel and Hamilton down to the first corner. As a Ferrari locking up, Massa locking up on the inside, and Alonso goes around the outside of Mark Webber, already gaining a place. There's Nico Rosberg, and we've got Vettel off with a puncture. Sebastian Vettel, punctured right rear, has not even made it down to turn 5. How would he get a puncture so... And still, now we've got a flailing tyre. That's double trouble, isn't it?
That can damage the floor, and we've spoken so much this year about the double diffuser, and here we're going to see a replay. Out wide onto the curb at turn 1, as he goes up through the gears, he's already got the puncture as he turns into turn 2. So was that damage from running on the curb on the exit of turn 1?
Well, he was on the far side of the curb, wasn't he? He was on the... I bet if we see another angle...
Here, great pull away from Sebastian Vettel. Actually, Lewis was very conservative into that first turn. Now let's watch Sebastian. He gets onto the curb, but nothing unusual relative to the cars behind, and at the point at which he turns into turn 2, that tyre was already damaged. Was it punctured already when he started the race? He got off the line well,
but the team would know that from the telemetry. They know all the tyre pressures. Sure, I have to say it looks pretty unlucky. And now we've got Mark Webber then up alongside Jenson Button, and that looks like the position is taken there. So Webber takes...
Well, that's a replay, and Button's in the DRS zone. This is the second of the DRS zone, so he'll be able to pop open his wing, and there you go, pulls the pass as he runs down into turn 11. So double DRS, 2 overtake. The left-hand side, when we have the rear shot of the Red Bull, there's something damaged on the underside of the car. They wouldn't put tank tape or any other kind of filler on the underside. And is it something hanging off the front edge? Yeah, there's a plastic bag or something is caught on the leading edge of the entry to the actual radiator, and that will be affecting his performance. There's no question. As I say that, he's just done.
But I hear your point. That's the normal line through that corner. Why hasn't it happened earlier on in this weekend?
Yeah.
So this is Mark Webber's big chance then. Vettel's out of the race. Webber can show us what he's capable of in a Red Bull. He's got his hands full with 2 McLarens and a Ferrari in front of him. But this is Mark's chance, isn't it?
Max, but Ted, what would be great is if you can just ask someone in a position of knowledge the direct question: was there any sign of deflation on the tyre pressure sensors as he entered the corner? Because that will tell us whether it was a slow puncture or something else.
Okay, I have already asked that question to the team representative, and what they told me was that there was no message on the radio.
This changes things now. He's within 2.4 seconds of the leader.
Rosberg's pulled out a 3-second gap on his teammate Schumacher, but surely Alonso's outperforming that car right now, isn't he? I mean, that's incredible. We've seen nothing like that pace through free practice or qualifying, and here he is catching the leader.
He can sniff the victory. It just brings out that little bit of extra performance as we get the pass there now. That's
that pit stop. Not entirely sure why he stopped. We went into that slow-mo replay, but nothing happened, did it? And hopefully we can find out what Bruno Senna's problem was. Perez was going so well in 10th, and he then pitted, presumably through contact through a new nose. And Michael Schumacher and Adrian Sutil, the young German, chasing down the Maestro. 13th place as we see Kobayashi, Perez there as well. 2 Saubers recovering, 2 HRTs fighting for all they're worth, and we've got 3 days of young driver tests coming up this week, and all of a sudden, what we consider supremely young drivers like Ricciardo and are under pressure from Jean-Eric Verne and numerous other. Ted's got more news.
Yes, just on that, Bruno Senna, we believe, was actually gambling on a safety car, which didn't turn out. That's why he pitted on lap 1, but as I say, he has got the hard tyre out of the way. The Williams were just out of position, David, you're quite right, and have made that up in pace. Actually, not showing too bad pace, considering that is the harder tyre. And also Kamui Kobayashi, he has got the hard tyre out of the way as well.
The car sideways as we get the replay here of Buemi on Di Resta. A late pass on the brakes down into turn 8. Again, you'll be in the DRS zone. The rest as they come out, you can see the white line on the track. And once again, Paul passes him. A little bit of a wobble under braking. That could be the setting for the KERS harvesting.
It's a Button wishing he had 13 fingers in that cockpit, and all the while he's got to hold off this man, Mark Webber, Martin.
Yeah, Webber's right on top of him. Now they've got a long run down the support pits at the back of the circuit. Webber's got the DRS open, and Button hasn't got any KERS to help him, and Webber's got the inside line, and Jensen's gone deep on the brakes. Well, they touch more.
And have been followed in by Alonso.
Ferrari reacts straight away. Look how close he is now. It was 1.9 seconds is the gap between them, and McLaren putting on the soft tyre. So they are on the Ferrari too. Identical strategy. That looked like a super pit stop from McLaren. Not quite so good, but he can get out clear. And we've also then got Button in, so back in Germany,
and they're coming out for Mark Webber.
So that'll be short-lived then, that lead, and Hamilton will. And you have to say, it was a surprise that Lewis wasn't on pole. He really has been the man to beat here, hasn't he? And didn't quite work out yesterday.
Indeed, he's quickest in every session up until that crucial last part of qualifying. As we see Webber taking that stop. Interesting to see, it was just over a second. And 17 through 18 under the bridge at the hotel, the Yaz Hotel. He gets passed by Michael Schumacher. And
well, Jackie Stewart is starting to advise the Renault drivers through his relationship with Genai, the part owners of the team, and he'll be talking to Petrov about that. Petrov's not really had a very good end to the season, has he? He's really positive camber, like he's got some kind of suspension failure or something. Ted's got news on Paul di Resta.
They're trying to one stop, but if they can, they'll need to be able to go a little longer than this. The soft tyre will be able to do, well, at a push, 30 laps, but that is a bit pushing it. But that's the intention at Force India. They might be better served, as you say, to pit him now, get another
call to let the team leader through. Which is how you have to perceive Petrov, isn't it?
Well,
the team leader there.
Indeed, they're fighting over trying to get a point. The car's been off the pace all weekend. They struggle with all these low-speed corners. This track's average speed is surprisingly low, and I think it's the third amount of, or the third track with the slowest amount of corners.
17 seconds behind di Resta, obviously looking for a one-stopper as well. Kamui Kobayashi, pit straight. Yaz Marina. Wonderful setting, 100 miles an hour through the slowest point of the first corner, and that
because of the low slip angles you want to achieve on the tyres. This is not rally style of driving, but they are constantly drifting the car through the braking phase, micro slides that they're controlling, and just really keeping the car floating on the edge.
As they pass through the back markers, Alonso's got the gap down from 3.6 to 3 seconds now. 3 retirements, 21 runners. We're on lap 25 of the 55. And let's look for some fun. Let's look for some entertainment there. Massa's now just 2 behind Button. Webber just 2.7 seconds behind Webber. And Hamilton then catching an awful lot of traffic. Down
5.7. So he's only a 10 slower, and last information we had from Ted was that he had no KERS. So that would suggest that Hamilton's got a bit in hand. KERS is going to be worth, what, 2-3 tenths of a second around the lap here?
Yeah.
So unless Lewis is starting to struggle a little bit with those tyres, and we're seeing again that Jensen is a bit kinder on them.
Here's how they've moved up. They're shuffling up nicely. Button, Massa, Webber, covered by 3.2 seconds, the 3 of them. And he's really, as we're going to watch Maldonado exit the pits, running a bit wide, misses the wall, and lives for another day. Surprised we expected a lot more of that last year, didn't we, the first 2 races here. But Maldonado very nearly the first and Button then, his troubles are not over. He's really fighting hard for that 3rd place as we watch Paul di Resta somewhat cautiously. Nice and tight though through that tunnel onto the pit straight. Button, Massa 3rd and 4th, 1.1 seconds behind her. Massa now
are a little bit more comfortable.
So Maldonado under investigation for holding up on well, basically not jumping out of the way when he saw a blue flag. They must have nightmares about blue flags and they've immediately gone straight for a drive-through penalty. Pretty cut and dried, that one then. Derek Warwick is the driver representative on the to defend, and well, the move was done before the second apex, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, good comeback for Massa. Mark Webber's got to try and do it all again. You know, I've got to say that I'm used to seeing Mark a lot more assertive with his passing. He's a very good...
Mark Webber. Ted's got more news for us.
Jenson Button's cars is back, and immediately he sets his personal fastest lap of the race, 44.7. Good news for Jenson.
Good spot, Ted. Only 3/10 slower than Hamilton out in the lead. So the gap then is the biggest it's been all Grand Prix on lap 32. It's 5.6 seconds now. Hamilton really stretching that, as we've got for not letting the leaders through.
Very poor driving from Maldonado. That's just unacceptable. You cannot get in the way of the leaders. He's had the blue flag. He's had a penalty.
Yeah.
You know, this is just not reflecting. And he chooses to want to go a little bit wheel to wheel with Mark Webber as well. So...
And he's cost himself a load of time for good measure in that.
Indeed. Well...
So, Hamilton then was 5.1 seconds clear. That was not the most helpful lap. He's done a 45.3 with that. It's cost him a second getting through the traffic. The gap down to 4.4 once again then. Button 16 seconds further up the road, and still 6 ahead of the Massa Webber flyers Kobayashi. Wasn't he, Ruben, having made no effort at all in qualifying. He never got out in quali. He's got all the tyres in the world, all the brand new ones, and here we see then Vitaly Petrov as Webber pits.
Right, this will be crucial information for Hamilton. It's looked like his lap times have just started to level off. Alonso's matching him. Another set of options going on there.
But you think, David, don't you, that the Ferrari will struggle a bit on the slower tyre?
That's the information we've had, and obviously this track evolves with each lap of the Grand Prix, so you know the scare stories and tyres are usually not so scary on a Sunday, but we believe that Ferrari have been trying to avoid the prime. But also, just looking at Mark Webber is running in clean air, I believe, just looking at Circuit Tracker. He's only doing 44.3s. Now if we look at our leader Hamilton doing 44.4, Alonso doing 44.3, so Mark doesn't seem to have gained anything from that fresher set of option tyres, so there's no incentive at the moment for Hamilton to want to pit.
New fastest lap.
At least 20 odd seconds when he comes in for his last pit stop. He's got traffic in front of him, which is not traffic actually, it's
Button.
It's that Button, so he's really hooked up on the back of Button. They've been like for like in the first sector, but he was 0.6 of a second as he went across the line. He'll get the benefit of the DRS here. Expect to see him zooming in. He'll gain 1,000 RPM when he opens up that, trying to sail it up the inside into turn 8, but I wonder if that little bit of damage to the floor is just affecting his braking. It's still flapping away there. It looks insignificant, but you know, a millimetre of gurney, tiny amount, makes a huge difference to the balance of these cars.
So 19.9 seconds, Alonso, 20 seconds exactly his lead now over Hamilton with a stop to make, and we think it's, well, it'd have to be a mighty stop, wouldn't it? If he could really a steady pit stop, and Hamilton comfortably in the lead, then there it is. Albeit Alonso's tyres will be a little bit fresh, but Alonso's got to get up to speed on those tyres yet. He needed track position, didn't he? Because we think the McLaren is probably quicker on those tyres anyway. We'll find out, and Ted was right there.
Yeah, and I was watching it. The problem was that Alonso...
Webber up for a little while to take away the advantage of those softer tyres.
Bit of bodywork being flicked up there. That's a little winglet that's detached itself.
That's nice.
And then it's been hit by, that's Massa. So where is it? It's caught in his front wing end plate.
Hanging off his front wing end plate.
If it's pointing in the right direction, it'll give him some extra downforce.
Not for long, I suspect. That'll be there. He's 38 seconds ahead of 40 seconds make that ahead of Jarno Trulli. It looks like he's ailing with some problem in the Lotus. Trulli, Glock's just pitted from 19th. Ricciardo is now back ahead of Liuzzi by 23 seconds. And this is the fight between the two Saubers for the final World Championship point. Perez and Kobayashi. Glock leaves the pits Perez strategy. Ted.
And Mercedes are figuring out what to do with Nico Rosberg. They came out into the pits to receive him, and now they've gone back in again. They never brought the tyres out, so I don't know if they were trying to send a message to Red Bull or not, but I do think we're in for a Rosberg stop pretty soon. We were right about Di Resta. He has pretty much nailed on to 9th position, so that one stop seems to work well for him. But just
Isn't it? In terms of, so then Webber, what can he do? He's got to then work out if he can do anything with Button. He's only 8 seconds ahead of Button. Another new fastest lap from Mark Webber. You have to say Mark's doing everything he can. He was 8.3 ahead of Jenson Button with that. It's now 9.3 and he's looking for something closer to 20 seconds. Got a few 0.7 seconds ahead of Button now. Button just did a personal best. So we're on lap 51. Vettel spins out on the exit of turn 1 into turn 2 with a puncture, having led into the first corner. Lewis Hamilton accepted that gift and just took off into the lead. Built a lead very quickly, but Alonso started corner. And we've got Daniel Ricciardo dropping out of the Grand Prix. He will be the 4th retirement. We've lost Buemi, D'Ambrosio and of course Sebastian Vettel. So Ricciardo then out of the race, sadly, as we watch second place man Fernando Alonso now 6.9, and Webber's about to do 6.9 behind Hamilton. Webber's running 3rd of the year more than a year ago. 2 to go. Hamilton leads by 7.8 seconds over Alonso. Webber still showing 3rd, still lapping incredibly quickly, still in the traffic as well. And there is Jenson Button, the man who will inherit his 3rd place when Webber makes the Hamilton takes the final turn, the short run to the line. Hamilton is back, and so are McLaren. Tremendous victory here in Abu Dhabi. Lewis Hamilton beats Fernando Alonso, who comes over the line in 2nd place, 8.4 seconds adrift. Wonderful, wonderful race for Hamilton. McLaren and then Glock and Liuzzi 19th and 20th, and there's confirmation. McLaren from Ferrari.